A Spokane woman facing federal charges for allegedly threatening to kill an FBI agent and his family. Tonight, the details. 4 firefighters who were attacked in the June 2025 ambush on Canfield Mountain are being nominated to receive the Idaho Medal of Honor.
A light dusting of snow arrives just in time for Wednesday morning's commute, and it likely has impacts.
Good evening and thank you for joining us for KREM 2 News at 5 tonight. I'm Mark Hanrahan. A Spokane woman is facing federal charges for threatening to kill an FBI agent and his family. KREM 2's Caitlin Galloway joining us in the newsroom tonight with the details.
Court documents show Brenna Marie Doyle left 3 voicemails threatening an FBI agent working in Minnesota, along with his wife and daughter. The criminal complaint filed in Minnesota details 3 counts. Doyle is accused of threatening to murder an FBI agent with the intent to, quote, impede, intimidate, and interfere with official duties. She's also charged with threatening his wife and daughter. The FBI in Minneapolis tweeted confirming that FBI agents in Spokane arrested Doyle after she left the threatening voicemails because of the agent's employment in Minnesota. The statement says in part, quote, if you threaten to harm law enforcement officers or their families, the FBI will find you and hold you accountable. Federal prosecutors want to keep Doyle in jail, saying she's a risk for violence and obstruction of justice. Her detention hearing is set for tomorrow at 10 a.m. Reporting in the newsroom, Caitlin Galloway, KREM 2 News.
The latest deadly shooting by federal agents in Minneapolis has increased the odds of a government shutdown. Brian Abel is in Washington with the latest as lawmakers face a midnight deadline on Friday.
Escalating tensions between the community and federal immigration authorities in Minneapolis, now creating a battle over government funding on Capitol Hill. That could lead to a partial shutdown.
What we're witnessing right now is it's completely out of control.
The fatal shooting of Alex Preddy by federal agents appears to be the tipping point for some Democrats who are vowing to withhold votes on an appropriations package for multiple government agencies, including the Departments of Defense, Transportation, and Homeland Security, unless DHS reins in its immigration enforcement actions.
We need systemic changes here before we move forward with the appropriations.
The Democratic caucus calling for DHS funding to be separated from the other funding bills.
Take up DHS by itself. Let's have an honest negotiation, put some guardrails on what's going on, some accountability, and that would solve this problem. We don't have to have a shutdown.
The White House, so far, isn't on board.
Policy discussions on immigration in Minnesota are happening. Look, the president is leading those discussions, but that should not be at the expense of government funding for the American people.
If all Senate Republicans vote yes, they need at least 8 Democrats to join them to get the funding passed. But if the sides cannot come together by midnight Friday, once again, thousands of government workers across agencies, from the Pentagon to air traffic controllers to TSA, will be impacted. In Washington, Brian Abel reporting.
11 Spokane clergy members back in Spokane after attending the Minneapolis ICE protest. They say their goal was to help as much as they could, as well as learn from what's happening to better prepare their own communities. Dr. Jer Swigert is part of that group that works with clergy and other peacemakers to deal with conflict and plan the trip to Minneapolis. Swigert says he had mixed emotions after arriving in the city.
I'm walking next to people with signs saying I'm a Republican and this is wrong. I'm standing against this, actively standing against this. I think it reinforced for we who went from Spokane this deep-seated belief that there is an alternative to these senseless divides between us.
During his time in Minneapolis, Swigert was part of 2 major demonstrations in addition to marching in the streets. Throughout his time in the Midwest, he says the protests were peaceful and nonviolent until the shooting of Alex Preddy on Saturday morning. Coming up on KREM 2 News tonight at 6, our Christian Garza shares what Swigert believes Spokane can learn from Minneapolis. Let's talk weather as we are under a KREM 2 weather impact alert for a small winter storm heading our way that could impact some communities and your morning commute. For a look at maybe what conditions are heading our way, let's check in with Jeremy Legoo. Jeremy?
Mark, we always talk about snow, biggest being timing, second temperatures, then the snow totals. This one comes down to timing and temperatures. And for that reason, we're under that weather impact alert for tomorrow morning's commute. Right now, it's kind of mild. Mid-30s, pretty widespread across the region, but we are going to get cold once again tonight. We're going to fall back below freezing, and Sandpoint has already done it. Those temperatures dropping below freezing after jumping up above it briefly today will be enough that what we see is snow for a good chunk of eastern Washington and North Idaho. If you're in Ritzville south on 195 or south of Ritzville on 395, if you're south of Ritzville on 395, you may see a little bit of freezing rain early tomorrow. By tomorrow afternoon, it all moves up into the mountains as snow. You might even see a little bit of sun before it sets. Thursday, back to moisture, but this time it's all rain as temperatures continue to climb. We're topping out in the upper 30s tomorrow after that morning round of snow. 40 on Thursday, 44 on Friday, but just keep in mind, it could be a little slick early tomorrow morning.
All right, sounds good. Jeremy will check back in with you later in the show tonight. Firefighters from 3 North Idaho jurisdictions could receive the Idaho Medal of Honor after that ambush attack on Canfield Mountain back in June of last year. Today, KREM 2's Regan Gallo shares the importance behind the nomination.
Well, the Idaho Medal of Honor nomination is meant to shine light on 4 firefighters for their bravery, selflessness, and for some, the ultimate sacrifice during the response of the ambush attack on Canfield Mountain.
Leaders in North Idaho's firefighting community say they have nominated 4 individuals for the Idaho Medal of Honor.
It seems like yesterday some days, it seems like 7 years ago on other days.
The nominees include Coeur d'Alene Battalion Chief John Morrison, Kootenai Battalion Chief Frank Harwood, firefighter Dave Tisdall, and Northern Lakes Captain Fritz Wiedenhoff. Fire officials say Morrison and Harwood made the ultimate sacrifice to protect their community. Both were shot and killed while responding to a fire on Canfield Mountain. Officials say Tisdall and Wiedenhoff's actions prevented other first responders from entering the active threat zone, likely preventing other lives lost. Right now, Tisdall is still recovering after also being shot.
This is us honoring their sacrifice, the family's sacrifice, which happens every day outside of events like this, but this was the ultimate sacrifice.
The work they did that day on that mountain, the sacrifice that they specifically for Chief Harwood and Chief Morrison, the sacrifice they made, and then the work that Engineer Tisdall and Chief Wiedenhoff did saved lives that day.
Now, we are told the Idaho Medal of Honor Commission is supposed to make their decision on February 10th. For now, I'm reporting in Coeur d'Alene, Regan Gallo, KREM 2 News.
Coming up on KREM 2 News at 5 tonight, baseball season right around the corner. I know, tough to believe, right? Coming up after the break, we'll tell you about the jobs available for the upcoming Spokane Indian season. And in 8 minutes, we take a look at how some southern states are recovering from this weekend's strong winter storm.